Hello everyone and welcome back to Painting with Martin. Today we're going to take a look at Catapult Feud and one of the houses we're going to paint today. In front of you you actually have the unpainted basic model from the house, I think it's called Cunningham. And I'll zoom in here a little bit so you can take a look at it. And we're going to take it from this grey plastic, and it's grey because their castle is also grey. Now I'm going to show you from this. This is a primed figure. I primed it in white, a regular primer from a hardware store. And I'm doing this to make sure that the paint actually sticks better to the plastic. And we're going to take it from this one to finally this stage, which is almost a final model without the base painted as well. And I'm going to take you and guide you in this video in 3 easy stages. First, we're going to apply the base paints and make sure that it looks a little bit nicer. Then we're going to apply a nice wash, and finally we're going to apply some highlights and finishing touches before we seal the base in some varnish. So let's get right to it. So I'm going to leave this model aside for the moment because we're not going to paint this one. So I'm going to be focusing on this model because this is the prime model. And for this video I'm going to show you first of all to paint with a size 0 brush, but we will also use a size a size 3 brush. This one is called from Winsor Newton Cotman series. It's a synthetic series and it's really nice. So let's get right to it. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to paint his hair, and I'm applying a undiluted coat of Jokarero orange from Citadel. Now this is a quite nice color. I quite like it, and I'm choosing this color because I can then highlight it up in a few stages simply by applying some different colors, making sure it's a bit more vibrant. So here I will apply the paint to the moustache, as well as the inner side of the hair here. And I'm starting with these spots simply because it is a lot easier to reach. And don't worry if you get some paint on one of the shoulders or anything like that. We'll be able to correct our mistakes as we go along. And I'm trying to get the edges here first, so we can use a larger brush to apply some of it on the broader areas. This is quite an easy model to paint. It's not that fiddly. There are some fiddly areas and I'm going to show you how to get around these. So like this, I'm going to also apply let's see if I can zoom this in a little bit, like this. Now I'm going to put my brush aside and apply a wider brush to make sure that I can cover more of the model. And as you can see, it's already starting to look a little bit better compared to the regular white or even the grey. Making sure that they appear better on the battlements. You can actually see who you're shooting at. Because in Catapult Feud, the goal of the game is to topple your opponent's figures by knocking them over with some catapults. It's a really cool game. Now, when the hair is done, we're going to leave this one hair aside for a moment, let it dry. But I'm going to apply a base coat of German grey from Vallejo on the inner side of the arms, as well as the behind as well, but not the armor itself. So, and this one is I'm applying undiluted and giving it a good shake. And I'm following the card art here as much as possible, and of course I'm rinsing my brush in the meantime, make sure that I have no leftover paint on it. So listen, now I'll apply it here. I'll try to make sure I don't cover any of the gloves, which is going to be painted in a different color. And again here I'm trying to get the edges. Then it's a lot easier to cover the wider areas. Please make sure that you get the inner side here as well, and between the armor here that is showing. The models here are beautiful. I have to say a big thank you to Vesuvius Media, who kindly sponsored this video with both the game and the miniatures. And this is 1 out of 4 factions that you can play with in the game. I'm going to go over here to the other side just to give you a basic overview of how to paint it. Make sure that you get the armpit here as well with this color. As well as the arm. You can see if I can zoom in here a little bit so you can see it better. And you paint not the shoulder, the arm patch here, because there's a little bit a raised area there. Just go inside here and paint it, which is going to be quite nice. And of course, the back side here will be also painted. Now, when that one is done, I'm not going to paint all of it, but it'll give you a basic idea of how it's done. Then you use the same color, and you mix, and I'm going to put this one aside. Not top. Oh, he was almost toppling over like he was actually playing the game. I'm going to play some Chainmail silver. You can also use from the same Vallejo natural steel, and mix it in with the same color as before, German dark grey, German grey. And I'm mixing this one in as metallic paint doesn't mix really well with painting it straight onto white, so you need to mix it in with a little bit of a darker color. And you do it like this, make sure that it gets a nice metallic glow. Painting the pauldrons here, as well as the armor on the arms. Right now it will not really look that good, because you can see that, zoom in here a little bit more so you can see it. You can see here that it's like almost has the same color as the piece we just painted, but we are going to highlight it after we apply the wash. And we apply the wash to give it some shadow and definition, to make sure exactly where the highlights are going to be applied. And with the same color we can also paint the scabbard of the sword, as well as the guard of the sword here as well, while we're still at it. And again, don't worry if you get some of the paint over on one of the clothes or his tabard. It doesn't really matter, we'll be able to fix it as we go. Can be a little bit fiddly getting around here, especially on camera to show you, but if you angle the miniature accordingly, you'll be able to get every single last piece of what you're going to paint in a nice and easy way. Don't forget the back and sword of the scabbard here as well. If you want to, you can alternatively paint the sword here with a brown way, if you want to just if you don't want the sword showing, of course. And while you're also at it, almost forgot, don't forget to paint the cup with the same matter. If you want to, you can leave the cup gold if you want to, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to keep it right at the card art where it kind of says silver on it, and I'm going to try to highlight it up into a silver way as well. Getting all the pieces of this one can be a bit fiddly. Angle the miniature the best you can and do the best you can with it. The point here for me is to actually show you how to make it good, looking good on the tabletop, not to win you any competitions or praise from the online community. As long as you have fun painting, then that's the most important part. Now, with that one done, we're going to turn our attention to the upper armor here. We're going to be painting it with, I'm going to wash my brush a little bit, closing off all the jars so we don't spill anything. And we're going to paint it with Mechanicus Standard Grey from, let's see if you can see it, yeah, Mechanicus Standard Grey from Citadel. I'm using a lot of Citadel paints here, but for this model it works quite nice. So again, we're applying the inner side here. Don't forget the inner kind of like part of the kind of like scarf or handkerchief is wearing. Trying to get all the sides here, and try not to dilute the paint. I tried to do it before, but if you find that it's too fluid, just wait a bit until the paint can be applied again. You can see here, you can also already see that it's a little bit too fluent here. So just wait until it dries and apply it again. So with this one done, I'm going to turn my attention to the leather gloves, and we're going to paint this one with a Mournfang brown from Citadel. Also applying it undiluted, give it a good bottle, shake the good bottle, and apply it over it like this. Don't forget the sides can be a bit tricky to get to, and I'll also show while we're still turning the model like this, make sure that you angle the model and paint the inner sides of this kind of like the glove here as well. Doesn't really show that much when you're playing, but I feel that it has. When you know you've painted the whole model and you haven't skipped out anything, it actually makes sure it looks nicer on the table as well. And angling the model, so I can show you here, you can paint the glove inside the shield here. It's a kite shield, which was very common around 13th century, and it's and late 12th century for knights of this manner. Now these knights have a very Monty Python look to it, and I really like that. While you're at it as well, don't forget to paint in the side of this one here, as well as the sword handle as well. There you go. While we're at it, you can also paint the belt with the same color as well. Alternatively, you can use some XV88 for the belt if you want a different color, also from Citadel. And when you're done from the back side, turn to the front. Here it's most important to get this little leftover belt over here, as well as try to angling the miniature to make sure that you get some of the belt on the underside. If you don't want to paint the inner side here, it's totally fine to leave it as well. You'll see I made a mistake here over there. We can be able to correct it as we go along later. Now, of course, one thing is clearly missing here, and it is his face. He really likes to be toppled over. I guess he's been playing way too much Catapult Feud. And for the face, I've chosen to go with an easy option called Citadel Colors Contrast Color Darkoath Flesh, which gives a nice way of a mix between a wash and a regular color. And I'm going to apply it over the entire face. It's going to look very almost like too dark, but when it actually dries, you will see that it actually gives a nice skin tone over the entire area. Don't forget the throat as well inside here. He does actually want his paint on that one too. So you see that one is done, and when it's dried, it's going to look quite nice. So finally, for the boots, we're also going to apply a skin, not a skin color, we're going to apply a contrast color called, in this case, Snakebite leather. If you want to go with painting something more vibrant like red or purple, you can perfectly well do so. I'm choosing just to go for a leather option here because I think leather looks really nice for boots. And again, here you apply it undiluted across the entire boots. It will give a nice leathery feeling here. Something like this, and you will do, of course, the back side as well. Very easy. Okay, with this one done, we can now take some opportunities to actually fix some mistakes. And we do so by actually applying some pure white from Vallejo, any areas where it shouldn't have, where we made some mistakes with it. Now, we'll simply apply it undiluted, and we apply it over the waistcoat over here, as well as here on the armor that we missed. Not armor, but the tabard here, as well as here on the back, as well as a little bit on the shield. Not very necessary. Don't worry about the base, we can fix that later. Now, one thing I would like to do before we move on to the wash stages is simple. We are going to apply a thin coat of pure black. This is entirely optional. You can leave the shield completely white as you are. You can even paint the shield red if you really want to. Applying black from Citadel, from Vallejo. See, this one was a little bit empty. You can either do glossy black or you can do regular black. It doesn't really matter. I want to paint the upper part of the shield, and I'm doing that because Crusader Knights, especially during the Crusades, but also others, painted their upper part black. If you can tell me why, I would be grateful, because I don't know. And just to get a sliver of black over here like this. Of course, if you're very skilled as a painter, you can also apply your own black, kind of like medieval shield crest here as well. And I think it's kind of like makes the shield stand out a little bit. So it looks like this. Now, when this one is done, this is the base paint, very easy. You can fix up your mistakes as you go along. This is just a quick overview. Now we're going to take a pre-painted miniature that I showed you before previously, and I'm going to show you how to apply a wash. Now, washes, we are not going to apply any wash on the skin areas, as well as not on the boots, because that's already contrast. But we are going to apply a nice color called, it's a contrast color. It's not really a wash, but it is a wash in itself because it will act as a wash. It's a contrast Apothecary white. Give it a good shake and apply it over the entire white areas of the miniature. And you'll do so very simply because you want it a little bit more different color, not just pure white. This is entirely optional. You can paint this, apply this with a black contrast, black wash as well. But this is it gives a very grayish look. Apply it over the white parts, as well as all the white parts of the miniature up here. You don't want to let it pool over the surface areas, as well as the inner side of the shield. So if you feel that it's pooling too much, take a wet brush or damp brush and move the paint along. It will give a little bit of more shadow and definition. I'm here moving it around on the shield. It's getting a little bit too pooling. And here it's also pooling a little bit, so I'm moving it around. And it will give a little bit more of definitions to the whiter areas of the model, allowing us to highlight it as to our degree of satisfaction. Now, when we are also going to apply a black wash from Vallejo. You can also apply Null oil if you are more keen on Citadel's line of colors. It's literally the same. And you can apply this on all the black parts of the shield as well as the armor and metal parts. And you do this to make sure you know where the shadows are. It will darken them even further. Don't forget the sword. It's a very nice and easy. And the goblet. And the back side of the sword as well. There you go. You can also apply it on the back, on the front of the shield here, if you chose to follow my instructions here. Now, let's apply the same wash for the same kind of wash that's called Agrax Earthshade from Citadel, for all the brown parts, all the leathery parts, except of course for the boots. Like this. You can apply it with a smaller brush if you want to. Don't forget the inner part here as well. It really helps, it makes it stand out. Alright, and finally, a final wash is going to be for the hair, because I want to make sure that if you have parts of the facial hair that is kind of like white spotted from the primer, this is an easy way to do it. I'm applying Fuegan Orange from Citadel. Give it a good shake. I'm doing this off camera because I don't want the entire setup to be too mixed up, and applying it neat over the entire hair and facial hair details. This is a very vibrant wash. It really makes it stand out. And you can see after it's dried, I will show you what I mean. Something like this. Cleaning the brush after every different color. Now we're going to leave this to dry. Unfortunately for you and for me, a pre-painted final stage, which I showed you before. This is what it looks like with the wash applied. And now we're time for some highlight and finishing touches. And we are actually going to start this one by applying it on the body armor on top. I'm applying the original standard grey from Citadel. We're applying it here on the raised areas over here, making sure the stitches here between are actually showing quite well from before. See if you can see that. See if I can turn on some more lights. As well as the back side as well. Don't worry about the inner side here. It doesn't really matter because you won't be able to see it much. You want to apply highlights where you think the sun is shining. Now we are going to apply some armor, which is going to be in this case pure chainmail silver from Vallejo. And here you will be able to see if I can zoom in here. Now you will be able to see more what it looks like here on the armor part, and what I mean by armor, simply because it is much more glowing now when you've applied a wash before. You can choose to apply some more if you like. After you apply the first stage. So I recommend 2 coats with this one. shows a little bit more. And while we're at it, we can also paint the goblet. With the same color. Don't forget the inner sides of the goblet as well, if you like. And here, also with the sword, I want to make sure that I leave the kind of like space in between the sword here, if I can. On the back side as well. If you want to, if you're lazy, or if you want to save time, no matter what you think about it, you can dry brush this one if you like. I want to see how it shows over here, like this. You can also do the sword guard over here with this color too. Now, this one done, I'm going to apply the color of the gloves. I'm not going to go for Mournfang brown this time. I want to try a little bit lighter color, and I'm going to try a color called, Skrag brown from Citadel. Give it a good shake, because this is this is a lot lighter brown, more of a reddish brown. Applying it neat. And I want to apply it on parts of the raised areas here. As well as the hand here. Anything that you can't really see from the front, I will leave it as it is Mournfang brown with a wash on top of it, because they won't really be visible to that degree. Same thing with the belts. As well as the sword belt on the back. As well as here as well, where you can see the glove showing. All right. And I'm going to close this lid. I'm going to close it up here off camera. And when this one is drying, I'm going to turn my attention to the hair, and I'm going to apply a color called Fire Dragon Bright from Citadel on the hair. Make sure that it stands out a little bit more, because the hair is kind of like the focal point of the miniature. Hair on the face. So I'm going to see how this goes. I'm going to try and apply a little bit on the moustache. And sparingly on the head here. You can apply this in a number of stages and layers, with a thin coat on top first. Oops. And then working yourself up until you feel like you're quite okay with it. Looking quite okay. And you can leave the inner sides here. Now I'm also going to paint the eyebrows of this color too. You can leave them brown as well, according to the card art. That's all right too. And we're coming in on the final stages here. The card art is very different when it comes to each card. So you can leave the white paint as it is. I'm going to show you the difference really. Like here is the card art from the upper side here. You can see here that there's almost no like any extra colors, but on another card here it actually shows here that there are some green checkered squares here. So it's entirely optional for you to actually paint that if you want to, but I'm going to give it a try. I'm normally not good with squares, and for this one I'm applying a very light green called Skarsnik green from Citadel. Make sure you give it a good shake, apply it undiluted, and put a little bit of paint on the brush. Use a fine tip brush, a size 0 or even size 00. This can be a bit tricky, but I'm going to give it a go. So you paint the lines first, and then you paint the, you fill them in later. Very similar like this. Doesn't have to be that much. 2 squares here, that's enough. And as it comes along, we just have one tiny detail. Yeah, you can leave the base as you want if you like to. You can paint the rock with some grey colour of your choice if you like. But I do actually want to add a little bit more of tiny silver detail, because the buttons on the gloves here with a tiny dot. And as well over here to this one. And in the card art, the eyes are white. I'm going to try to paint this one as well. You can leave them as they are if you want to. Take a tiny bit of white. I'm going to see if I can zoom in here a little bit more. Take a tiny bit of white. Put them over place your fingers very close to the metal of the brush. Like this. The white part is the easiest part. Something like this. Then when it's completely dry, you add a tiny bit of a tiny dot of black for the pupil. And this is the hardest part of miniature painting, in my opinion, to paint eyes properly. This is one dot, and that's another dot. I guess it's looking up really. It looks like more like a zombie here. I'm not very particularly happy with this result, but I think you get the basic idea here. You can leave the Apothecary white as it is. It's quite fine. I'm going to show you a small, very easy way of actually painting the base. And you simply take some black wash, and the entire black wash, you paint the entire surface areas here of a black wash, leaving it to pool in the recesses, and then you simply paint it either black or brown the way you like it. I'm going to turn my hand around here so you see it. Good looking like this. And that, after you feel like you're happy with the miniature, you want to seal it with some varnish, and you can seal it with a varnish of your choice. Citadel is nice. Both Citadel, which is called Art Coat, or as well as Vallejo, you can do either way. Once you seal it, you're done. And this is a way for you to paint Catapult Feud, the Cunningham miniatures. So I hope you like this video, hope you find it useful. If you do find it useful, don't hesitate to like, share and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to all of you who've actually subscribed so far. It really means a lot to me. If you want to see more videos like this, leave a comment in the comment section. And otherwise, you can also go out and check out in the box below here. where you can actually find this game and play it for yourself. This is an amazing game for both families and kids, and my family really likes it. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.